Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the second part of Ready, Set, Go. This one is making a compelling video. We're going to run through a bunch of opportunities here for you to make better and very compelling videos. And one of the things I want to really talk about is when I'm out in the field, I'm really talking about I edit to shoot or shoot to edit, however you want to think about it. Is that I'm always thinking about, okay, I've got this picture here, I've got a lead in over here, and I've been accused of spending my vacations by watching the viewfinder of my camcorder. Okay, we're gonna, as I said, talking about shoot to edit and edit to shoot. If you view your picture taking as a visual story, which I do, then we're gonna walk through several steps here. And one of the things we're going to talk about is, if you have an opportunity, research your subject ahead of time. We like to go on to Google and do a search to see what's so important about this and some of the unique aspects we ought to look at, whatever monument or whatever area that we're visiting. And also, the quality of your lens is important, but it's not as important as the eye of the creator. I've seen compelling videos made with mediocre equipment. So if you've got a cell phone or a DSL or a handheld camcorder, just be creative as you can with it, take unusual shots, and we'll show you some of the work some students have done using their cameras. And I've taken a lot of stuff just using a cell phone, so don't let the equipment hold back on your creativity. Okay, I just want to briefly talk about how to stabilize your equipment. What I do is, if I'm using a telephoto, I will lean up against a tree. I'll lean up against a tree, or I'll rest on my companion's shoulder and stabilize it that way. Secondly, we'll use you can buy a monopod and bring that along with you. That's pretty compact for traveling. Or if you want to, you can use a tripod, but that's kind of heavy. Last thing I want to talk about is your posture when you're going to be taking a panoramic view with your camera. A lot of people, when they're going to take a picture of something, they start here and they start swinging this way, and all of a sudden their torso gets pretty twisted and you get pretty shaky. What I would suggest is that you position your body, your upper torso, so that you're facing the main area of where you want to videotape, and you turn your torso to the right and you swing through your mid-torso over to your left torso, and that way you get a very smooth panoramic effect with your handheld camera. Okay, three important parts that we're going to be talking about in this video is, no surprise, the beginning, the middle, and the end. Just like you're writing a novel, you're writing an essay, it has a beginning, a middle, and an ending. So let's take a look at a couple of videos here that will talk about the beginning.
Welcome everybody to Provincetown, Massachusetts. My sister and I are here visiting to take in a little bit of the sights around town, and also to go on to a whale watch. And there we can see just about where Provincetown is in relationship to the Cape.
Okay, in that case, you saw that I used a photograph very simply, just used a little zoom and a little movement to give them an indication of where we are. Now here's another type of introduction that we're going on to the whale watch.
On our whale watch.
Handheld camera, giving him my ticket. brings the audience right into the subject matter, and a little bit of getting onto the boat. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is how music sets the mood for a particular video. Now here's a couple of videos I'm going to show you. The music is totally different and setting the mood. Now this plantation was built in the Civil War time period, so normally I put in Civil War music. This happens to be a sugar plantation, and there's one of the kettles, sugar kettles, doing work as a bird bath. So in that short introduction, of under a minute, a little over half minute, we brought you in. You saw the overall, you were greeted by the entrance, you had period music, and I think it sets the scene for the audience. Okay, I'm going to play the second one here. It's slightly different now. Slave restraints. I just can't believe it, but that's what they used to use to keep their slaves under control. Sad commentary on our history. Okay, so we talked about, we have a beginning to the video. We want to pick some appropriate music. I've heard a great number of videos on the YouTube that have totally inappropriate music. It just, you wonder, gee, that's nice listening music, but what's that got to do with the scene, with the video that I'm actually watching? Okay, we're going to show a couple of videos now, and this is when I talk about the middle part. You want to be, you got them in there, and now let's bring them along as smoothly as we can. And here we go here. That's not the one I had in mind. That's another opening. Where'd that come from? I have no idea. Wasn't paying attention when I put these together. Well, here's the middle part. Oh, yeah, this was going to talk. I forgot to put it in my notes. It's talking about some animation and how I use animation to show where I am in a particular video as part of the story. This happens to be, as you saw, in Chichen Itza in Yucatan in Mexico. And I'll dissect what we're going to do now. I'm going to dissect my process of coming up with some of this animation. I had seen, I searched for several different types on the internet that I could borrow, and rather than reinvent the whole thing, I went several places. I found this that I liked, and I cropped it, and then in Photoshop I took out the titles that were there so I could put in my own titles. And as an aid to where you are, I put in I once again I got a little guy off the internet, painted him red, and dropped him into a separate layer on my video. So now we have two layers in my video editing. Is that okay, here is the outline of where we are, and here's our little man, and hopefully you'll associate the little man in red as to where you are on this particular area. So, and this is what it looks like. Now here's another piece of animation. It's hard to see here, but the important item is up here where we have a hoop. That's when they played ball, they had to get the ball through that hoop without using their hands, feet and chest and head. So the animation here is I showed the direction as to what was happening, and that was very simply done by creating, this is slow motion now, I created an arc in Photoshop, once again the second layer, in addition to the tightening, and I just used a wipe. This is just a very simple wipe to the right that makes it appear as if I've done some fancy animation, and all it is a curve and a wipe. Very simple. Okay, what's next up on the agenda then? Okay, now we get to the to talking a little bit about the content and keeping things moving. This is New Orleans, the middle of a video that I did in New Orleans, and we're strolling the street, trying to give a view of the architecture, people, activity, walking, just a simple pan, highlights of some signs, gets you the feeling as if you're there on the street. Here's another one of Mardi Gras World in New Orleans, in the middle of a lecture and a tour.
These are some of the things you weigh out when you decide what basically materials you're creating props out of. Let's continue on. Let's go jump into paint so we get some color at it.
Cut in a little bit of him speaking, and then go back to the music. And we're going to talk about incorporating slides. A lot of people ask me, well, how do I incorporate slides in the video? And you do it very judiciously, and you use the zoom, use the pan, use a lot of effects here, and let me just walk you through a few here. That's my sister, who's very much into Wiccan practices, and we had to do a tour of all the voodoo shops. So once again, the music is commensurate with what you're watching. Nothing magic here, a bunch of cuts, a little bit of zoom, a little bit of pan. One of the magical things about incorporating slides is that if you're going to incorporate a slide, you want to start with the motion and end with it in motion. There's nothing worse than seeing a zoom where people stop and then it zooms and they stop and then it finishes. So put an extra care and time into when you're zooming, and in the post edit you want to start and end in the zoom. It makes it very, very continuous. Okay, let's see. Next up, we're going to talk about ending. And just like the beginning, which starts in a very logical place and leads you into the video, the content continues you. And now, as far as the ending goes, we want to give them a sense that, hey, yeah, we've ended, it's been a logical ending. You don't want to be very abrupt. This is off my sister's cell phone at night. This is the short video I did of Bourbon Street. So I wanted to end with this. This is quite accidental. as how funky it looks. But I figured, well, that's a good ending for Bourbon Street. And this might look, if you were a little bit hammered walking down Bourbon Street. Especially that part. Oh, and here's another one. We did one on a swamp tour. Once again, the music sets the theme. It's a little twangy music here. Little tilt of the camera for no other reason than to tilt the camera and give you a different perspective. We're ending now, pulling up to the dock.
Hi, I'm Tom. I'm your Uber driver.
So that was a very logical ending of the sequence. You came up to the dock, it's over, it's done with, and people feel very comfortable with that for an ending. At least I do. Okay. Okay. We talked about incorporating slides. We talked about the content. We talked about enriching the video with music. And we talked about animation in Chichen Itza. We took something off the internet, scrubbed off the content we didn't want, put our own in there, made our own little man, and so forth. Okay, so we're going to show you a series here. Now these are student videos. Every one of these student videos won money at GCTV's video contest. So I've taken just 1 minute of each of the 7 videos and take a look at them. They're very creative. I learn an awful lot from teenagers. They push the bounds and they experiment, and they're very, very creative. And so here's 7 short 1-minute videos of students. They're high school students, sophomores to seniors.
Amsterdam, the gleaming Dutch capital, known for its fine architecture and art. Once home to many of the world's greatest classical artists, it has given way to a new art form, that of football. Now home to the most successful Dutch club, Ajax. But take a short train ride south, and you will hear an entirely different story, in the hard-working port city of Rotterdam.
Notice that nice fade. Okay, we're going to take a time out there because we're...
War.
Okay, we're all set to go? Okay.
Boy, that was good.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah, we took a moment there to change chips in the camera.
Known for its vibrant modern architecture, a stark contrast from the largely medieval capital.
Eric was
The clubs from these
obviously
cities
on
embody
family
rich
vacation.
heritage, and when they play, they create Dutch football's greatest export, the classic camp.
Okay, saw a lot of nice effects in there. Here's another contest winner. Nice close-up, nice out of focus, coming into focus. Titling is not the best, but the subject matter is just wonderful. Okay, very creative. Here's
Right.
another one.
It's probably my favorite place I've ever been. Just the atmosphere and feeling you get when you're there is something I've
This is
felt
Eric Lepeque, a different Eric.
every year, and each time there's a new adventure just waiting.
You notice how he's timing the breaks in the video to the music. Very nicely done.
Lake Superior, 1,000.
Now this has some very nice camera shots. And notice once again the music. Nice close-ups. Watch this shot. I wonder how often he practiced that one.
Looked like it was out.
Okay, we're gonna start fencing soon. And the next time we do candy grams will be in the next break.
Once again, the use of slow motion. Music is appropriate to the subject matter. Different angles, shooting up. Okay,
I didn't just want to make
Another one
compiling
by Eric.
clips taken from around Gilbert.
2019
I
winner.
wanted to explore and capture the beauty that resides on our shores. Here's my attempt.
He got it. He must have got a drone for Christmas. Nice little technique there. Speeds it up. Once again, selection of music is right on.
The drone.
Yep.
How long were their videos?
A maximum of 7 minutes. Anything they wanted up to 7 minutes. And okay, that's that one. Okay, so what we've covered today, we've taken a look at video and I don't know how to say this, but shoot to edit. I always, when I'm visiting a site or an abbey or a castle, I'm always thinking about, okay, what's my entrance? I'll get a view of maybe coming up the stairs, or maybe a copy of the sign and pan to an entrance. I'd give a person a view of where they're going, the sense of entering into something. And then once inside, I try to be creative whether I want a tilted shot, a view up at something, a view sideways. Sometimes I'll get a side of a wall involved in the shot and move out from the wall to give a sense of movement and presence. And then finally, in an ending, have a logical conclusion. Is there an exit sign, or is there a distant view? Sometimes I'll use a zoom or a pan to complete the ending. So in your handout, you have there, we've gone through almost everything, and what makes the difference? It's not the equipment. It's really the storyteller. Creative, as you saw from those 7 students who won in the past years of our video contest, there was a vast difference in terms of focus, subject matter, shot from the ground, shot from above. Very, very compelling videos, each and every one of them. And let's see, we talked about making an establishing shot, make a following sequence or following through, and a logical ending. So I'll just leave you with this thought that we want to shoot to edit. And how do I do that? You think about the story you want to tell, and then you make it reality through your lens. That's so far for me. Any comments from our participants here? All right, well, thank you all for watching another segment of Ready, Set, Go. Make your video was the first one. Ready, Set, Go. Make a compelling video is the second part.